We'll start out, call the meeting to order, and we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Melanie.
Well, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
She's probably just running late.
Okay, roll call, please.
Bryce? Hayden?
Present.
MacArthur?
Here.
McAninchie? Knight
Here.
Olson? Here. Palshin?
Here.
And Mr. Jackson from McKenna.
Here.
All right, you have your agenda tonight. Like approval of the agenda as written, or if anybody has any additions, deletions, or corrections that they would like.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
And seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried to approve the agenda as written.
So who is my second, Rick or Melanie?
Take your pick.
Yeah,
Okay,
Patty,
pick one.
was that you?
I was going to, and they were so fast, it just didn't happen.
Okay, also in your packet tonight is the approval of the minutes from the June 5th, 2018 Planning Commission meeting. I believe there was one item that was corrected.
I think these are already corrected.
Mel, the one
We have
sentence.
one from him, from Larry, and one from me, but I think,
Yeah, those
Yeah.
wouldn't be considered corrections at
Those
this
are
point.
just- yeah.
That's already been taken care of.
yep, that's,
And
All
move to
set.
accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, minutes approved and seconded. All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Approval of the minutes is approved. Any public comment? Young men, do you have anything you want to say?
No.
Okay. Anybody else?
There was 5 of them in there, Lee, that didn't,
Really? That work?
that didn't work.
Okay, we have no public comments. We'll move on. Chairperson comments. I know I want to apologize. I've been really busy. I didn't get a chance. I was hoping to be at the open house. I didn't even make it to that. So, but hopefully everything went well. I know we've got a lot of people here on the Planning Commission that do a great job, and I assume everything went well. That's about all I have to say.
Who did go to the event? All right. Well, what were your thoughts?
Yeah. Any other?
I was early. Well, go ahead.
Go ahead. Now at this point, I'd like to any items from
I'm
the
sorry.
commissioners.
So, you're fine. Okay, now you can answer.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I was there about an hour and a half or 2 hours, something like that, but in the morning. So there weren't, Melanie came and left. But anyway,
I was there for an hour, but
had
we
all
weren't
kinds of-
supposed to be there.
yeah.
Yeah, that was like the McKenna deal.
Yeah, I know, I was just thinking that we were gonna kind of be there to help out, but maybe not.
But you know, because I asked at the last meeting,
Yes, you did.
and I was a little surprised to see that a couple of them went. And it's like, I could have, but I thought it was more just to leave the public alone and let them do their thing. Didn't make no difference. But I heard it was good. I talked to a couple of people that went that enjoyed it, got a lot out of it, and was easy to follow along what they needed to do and everything. So they were happy.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, I was looking at the attendance on there when we I did find it interesting that the number of either public officials or people in public office and their family who attended.
Did anyone from council come? The village council?
Yes,
Karen,
we had, I did kind of a sorting on there, and it looks like we had 5 people from the village government, which would be planning commission and council. I know Karen Sleva was there. 1 from township, that was, Kathy was there.
Yeah, she was
And
there when I was there.
family members from them came too. I didn't count them as part of that, but I thought it was
Yeah.
interesting because we had 6 public officials out of a total of, what do we have? A total of
7 and 7.
25. We had about 40 people came?
I think it was 47.
48, 47?
47.
I have the attendance list.
Yeah.
Yeah, was there 48 or 47
I
roughly?
think I showed
Yeah.
46 if I told.
Oh,
So,
there you go.
It may have been a little underrated because he said he thought maybe a couple of the younger people might have got through.
Without signing in or something
No,
like that?
42 is what I had total, I think. 25 residents, 3 business owners, 8 non-residents, 5 village government officials, and 1 township government official is what I broke it down to. But it's good to see that number of residents.
So here, who on the planning commission again? I know it was me and Rick, and who else? Just me and Rick?
Yeah, I didn't go.
Just 2 of us? Oh, and then on the,
Wayne was here from council too. I think I saw his name on the list.
he's on village council, so, and then,
Yeah.
so it was Karen and Wayne
And Mark Batsu.
and Mark.
Mark was there. And 2 planning commissioners. That's our 5 people from village government.
I think that's sad. We left it open till 8 for everyone to have the opportunity to go. But,
Oh, it was my understanding we weren't to go. You saying this wrong?
yeah, I think that was
So let it-
confusing.
Let the people figure it out and not have us.
Well, see, I didn't
what's
think
going
we
on,
were
but I
supposed
know-
to man it. I just thought we were supposed to go as a resident. I went as a
Oh.
resident. I didn't
Okay.
say, I just did my dots and left.
Oh,
I
see, I
didn't-
misunderstood then, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I just
Okay,
went as
my
a
mistake.
resident. But no, I think it was confusing.
Okay, sure.
I do.
But we're gonna, I mean, I'm guessing we're gonna have opportunities to put input in on.
For sure.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we did, but when you get around to people, that was my question.
Okay. We'll move on, new business, we have no new business. We'll go to unfinished business, master plan, open house results, so I don't know if we wanna,
Well, I can sort of just kind of kick it off here if you want. Everyone should have received Mike's memo, which basically summarized a couple of the different exercises, including what is your big idea board, which is, you know, a very popular exercise for these kind of activities. So if you've had a chance to, well, so we have that summarized here. We also have the summary of the visual preference boards that came in that package. And then tonight I brought with you the map that we had, the resource mapping exercise. And that's what you have there, 11 by 17. And plus we brought a larger one here too that you can, they can hang on to. So from what Mike said, he was pleased with the turnout. He was pleased with the conversation that took place, the sort of dialogue that he had with people that came in. He said it was obvious that people care a lot about the community, but he said it was also pretty clear that there's some divisiveness on at least some issues, for sure. So we're going to have to sort through that and get through that. So. With that, you know, I'd be happy if you have comments on any of this material that's been handed out. I think we should go ahead and discuss it.
Yeah, if I could start, one of the concerns I had after reviewing this is under the resource mapping exercise, the goals priority survey.
Yeah.
I was looking through and I was noticing that there are several of those items where the totals don't add up. The priority rank does not add up to the number of the individual rankings.
Yeah, I found a couple of those
I
at
found
least.
5.
Did you, okay.
And I'm just kind of concerned because with that number of discrepancies in this list here, it makes me, it makes me have to question a little bit how accurate is this, where are the errors. I would want to have that, make sure that data is reviewed and we have accurate results
Absolutely.
posted on that. I want to see them
Absolutely.
updated.
I understand and I apologize. Mike and I went over this today and I saw a couple of those and, I was horrified. So we definitely have to clean that up and make sure that that's accurate. Absolutely.
And I don't know if this didn't come out to us in color or something, but there's some kind of a legend down here that I
That's-
don't see any reflection.
Yeah,
So-
are you gonna go through that, or?
Yep, we can definitely go through that. So that was basically the color of the dots that the people had. So that's not really, there's no color code to that in the numbers.
Oh, okay.
So that was just us translating the information.
So that was the dot color coding, and then
Exactly.
it translated to resident unfavorable, resident favorable.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
What is the 1, 2, 3, 4 at the top? The first one?
So that's basically the images here.
Okay,
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I got it.
Yeah. Now, I did notice that also in the images, the last page of the images is placemaking downtown feature. And that was not listed in the summary chart up here. I also noticed that all 4 of those have the identical rankings on all 4 of them. Is that actually what occurred? We actually had identical rankings on all 4 of those features? This is on the last page,
Yeah, the very,
very last page.
I'll verify that. I'll have to
Yeah, I
ask Mike. That is definitely strange.
That was-
Although,
And like I said, it was also left out of the summary, I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
on the first page.
it's not on the front.
yep, definitely needs to be fixed for sure. And I'll look into whether those results are where he got those or how he accounted for those.
Okay, so I just wanted to raise those concerns first about some of the inaccuracies or discrepancies I found in the.
I apologize. It's sloppy. It's not good. We'll get it fixed immediately.
Okay. So with that, I'm gonna let it open up and let you review the results that we do have here.
I had a concern with some of the items that we had sent in. We were asked to do our goals and objectives.
Yep.
And also send in what we would like to see. And that's where Bob was just saying, are we ever gonna go, have input? Well, that was our time to have input. But this doesn't reflect quite a few of the things that I suggested. And I just wanted it to reflect it so we'd be able to have a conversation about it. So, I don't know, I sent something to Mike today to ask him, like, how do we get this part? It's not on here either. So I was kind of hoping this would be, some of it is, but some of it isn't. And so I was just curious how we get that incorporated.
So, was the feedback that you provided to Mike intended to be included in these objectives?
Yeah, you guys had sent us a
Yep.
goal and objective that we had to do.
To rank?
And to rank, and then you also asked us to do a, what are our big ideas? What would we like to see?
Okay.
There was a question for what's our big ideas?
So that should be incorporated into this list here.
It should be.
But it
I
hasn't
thought
been.
it would be.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. Has it been? I mean, I don't know what anyone else had submitted. We haven't gone over any of that, so.
Yeah, and we also had vision statements we put in.
And we had vision statements. I don't know what came of those. I asked the last meeting, can we hear people's vision statements? Because I'm curious to hear what my peers have to say. And I don't know where those went. I thought maybe that would be part of this, but it's not.
I mean, this is all the public one, right? I mean, this is nothing to do with commissioner. This is just what the public put together.
Right, so far. But then, the idea is that once you see what the people have to say, and you factor in and see where there's items that you're in agreement with, or things that you want to add to that, are there things that you wanted to add that were not expressed in any of the public comments?
And they were added. They were,
'Cause
like we had the meetings prior to this, and those were part of what came up on this to hold that open house. But yes, when we did our goals and objectives, when you, at that specific time,
Yep,
you asked us, what are our ideas and suggestions? We gave that to you guys.
okay,
Mike had said that will be incorporated in here along with
the
the
public
the
comments.
open house.
Right.
So that everything's out there, and then we see, you know, but some of it was, some of it isn't. So I'm just curious, do we resubmit it, or is it
No,
not going to be part of?
No, okay, so you definitely don't have to resubmit it. If we have it, if Mike's got it, then we don't need it again. And I would suggest to Mike, when I talk to him tomorrow, which I'm gonna do, I'm going to figure out a way to present this so you can see what the public comments were and what the planning commission comments were. So you can kind of see them side by side.
That would be great.
See where there's parallels, see where there's opportunities to tie things together, and see where there might be opportunities for public education. Because if you have something that you think is an important issue and it's not coming up at all in the public, then maybe, you know, maybe you need to get the word out on that, or maybe that's something that the village needs to pursue. So I'll talk to Michael, find a way to present, you know, your comments, because they're definitely, obviously they're important, and compare them side by side with these.
I think there was village council, same thing for them.
They got it, DDA got it, and we did. And
Yeah.
so all those ideas, suggestions were supposed to be part of the overall, what we're viewing this evening. I don't know if they are, because we don't know what everyone else
For
is.
sure, this is.
So
the overall.
the goals sheet here though is a summary of those surveys that were returned.
Is including all of the surveys, including the
That's all
council
the
and
surveys
and
that went
commission
to
and
them,
everything?
they handed, they were all given to Mike,
Okay.
so.
They were given to Mike, but are these, all of them, all the, because I know my information isn't on here, but,
No, they did, I didn't see the vision statements or the big ideas thing you
Yeah.
talked about. The actual filling out of the goal sheet or whatever.
those.
We know that 40-some responses is more than the total of the DDA, Planning Commission, and Council. So I didn't know if that was just a summary of the people who attended that open house, or whether that also includes our surveys or not. One of the things I had mentioned before, this goes back to when we did the initial survey, is that we would, you know, I had expressed that we would like to be able to get the raw data too, so that we could also take a look, and if we wanted to manipulate and get different views or different type of perspectives out of the raw data. And I would like to do the same thing for these types of events too, is
Okay.
have the raw data, so we could also, if we wanted to do a deeper analysis, have the data to look into too.
Of course. I'll make sure and get that.
So what, if you read this part of the goals thing, and it says 40 points for the high,
Oh, yeah, because that's.
so it's
ranked,
5, you
yeah.
divide that by 5.
Yeah.
So
that's
that
right.
means 8 people responded to
Okay,
that.
so maybe that is just.
And
I
only
don't know.
1 person responded, so there's only like 9.
So maybe
total
that is
responses.
just, maybe that is just ours then, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's not really.
Okay, Bill, where are you referring
Planning
to?
Commission.
In
Like
the ranking of the
Okay.
goals
in
and
the ranking,
priorities.
that's point total, not numbers
Okay,
of
yeah,
people
numbers.
who responded.
Okay.
So maybe that is just.
So if you got high, to figure out how many people
That-
got that, you have to divide it by 5.
Divide, okay, so all of these we divide by 5.
No,
No, just the high column.
the high
the
is
high.
5, the high to
Oh,
mid is
or high to low
4,
is-
3, 2, 1.
Gotcha,
That's
okay,
right.
Yeah.
all right, so we
Members of
got
the planning
Yeah,
5,
no, that's
4,
why I-
3,
yeah.
2, 1, okay.
So
Alrighty,
you gotta kinda do the math to
got it,
get
yep.
where you gotta go there.
That's too much work.
So what it generally looks like is there was about 9 surveys returned.
So this was just the, well, that's more than the planning commission. Okay, so that was planning commission and council.
Alrighty,
It's probably everyone that submitted,
Yeah,
right? Some must not have submitted.
nope, that's right.
Okay.
okay,
The entire
can I ask,
commission
did all of planning commission submit?
Yes.
Okay, how many on, you didn't?
I did.
Oh, okay, but all did, how many on council did not?
Don't know.
How many did?
Because if we only had 9 respondents total and we
Are you
have,
saying 2
what,
people
7
on the
of us?
council?
Probably 2,
Is that,
6.
yeah,
because if all 7 of us did,
yeah.
and you had
probably
9,
2.
so only 2 people on village council
Yeah.
took the
Well,
time.
3, because Tanya also is on council, so I guess.
Okay, yes, you're right,
Okay.
yeah, because she's both.
And I
So,
didn't get any from DDA.
The DD didn't submit any?
No, not to my knowledge.
wow, and they have some great ideas. That's surprising.
I'm really,
Okay.
I'm really surprised that we didn't get.
And I didn't
Responses.
keep a list of who
I
turned
just,
them in.
I just think village council should have been all over this. That's their opportunity, and I know that they're going to be saying, how come you didn't come to us and ask us, how come you didn't? That was a wonderful opportunity for them to put their suggestions and input in. Oh well,
Their choice.
yes, but we'll be held that for it.
They had an opportunity. It was their choice not to take that opportunity.
This is a shame. Are you gonna go over then what our community, I guess overall looks at what you think, how do I even wanna word this? What is the high priorities for our community that you see that people would really like to see and that they really don't wanna see? How about the high end and the low end?
Well, I think trails are something that people clearly want to see. That was something that repeated itself throughout, you can see. And I think the big issue obviously continues to be sewers. You know, there's people that wanted sewers and people that don't want sewers. People that want businesses that can operate without sewers, and people that feel, you know, not having sewers is an obstacle to evolving to the next level. But also reading some of the comments, you can tell that some people aren't fully informed as to what impact sewers have. And I know in the past, you know, we've talked about it here at the Planning Commission about how to handle this issue and how it doesn't have to be either one or the other, right? There's different options that can be explored. So I think that's the one you're gonna have to put to bed. But I think trails are sort of low-hanging fruit, really. I think there's a lot of money out there for trails. I think a lot of people have interest in them. I think the other large feedback that we got was regarding placemaking improvements for the downtown and for the village as a whole. I think there was a lot of feedback on you know, visual enhancements. There was a lot of comments that had to do with property maintenance, I would say. So I think there's a lot of different action items that can come out of this list of big ideas. So the idea, of course, would be to, the not so big idea, would be to translate these big ideas into your implementation plan. How can you implement it? And I suggested to Mike that they need to be sorted based on the goals and objectives, because each one of these can be tied to you know, your list of goals and objectives. So you'd have your objectives, and then you'd have a list of action items under each one of them. So you know, that's kind of how I see this laying out. Also, there's obviously a lot of discussion or input with respect to the traffic situation, the configuration, sort of at the south end of Ortonville Road.
Oh,
And
I saw roundabout was not like favorable.
Actually, let's see.
The only thing that'll work there, but nobody likes the sound of it.
I think it would be great,
People
but
get used to them, they don't like them.
well, they're
Once
great
they
as
Well-
do, they love it.
yeah.
Well, so,
I think they're wonderful.
but wait a second.
Yeah.
It scored 15 points favorable and
Okay.
13 points unfavorable.
Well, so then it's okay.
It's a landslide victory in favor. Let's go start building it right now.
It's like a sewer issue then.
But I also think that, you know, sort of the do nothing approach was definitely, that bombed.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
do nothing
we have
approach
to do
bombed.
something there.
So I think you got the, you know,
Well,
the support
yeah,
to do something.
Like one thing with a roundabout, that reduces a lot of commercial traffic through the area.
Yeah.
You mean trucks and things like that, you mean?
Yeah, yeah, they don't, they go, if I gotta go through roundabouts, I'm not going that way. There's other routes I can take, you know.
Yeah, my only
Let's say
concern is
our
certain
road.
times of day for somebody trying to get out from South Street, if you have heavy north and southbound traffic coming along, M50, virtually, it could be really difficult to get out of there.
You know, it's truly Granger Road. Is
Correct.
where the real problem lies with it is Granger Road. And, I mean, they take their life in their hands every time they pull out of there.
It's
And
scary.
To go left or
and you
right.
have to be super patient to ever get out of
Right,
Granger
yeah,
Road
if
to
you're
go
patient
south.
there, eventually there'll be a gap, but
Yeah, it's like,
you better be paying
you
attention.
better be having plenty of time to get to where you wanna go.
And I don't know what the road commission, because I know the road commission, I think it's too far back to say stop here at signal or
That's
something.
what they
but-
think.
Yeah, I see that was on there where they make a secondary light there, and I think that
Yeah.
was definitely discussed years ago. And MDOT wasn't real keen on any of that, but having another one there.
Or what's the options of one-way east on Granger Road to Edwards and putting a two-way through by the school and back out that way?
So, you know, while it's good to get people's feedback in terms of how receptive they are to change, they're clearly receptive to some change, to see how big of a change they're willing to accept, if they're willing to accept roundabouts. But then at the end of the day, any of these options are gonna have to be part of a more in-depth traffic study of, you know, all the intersections that are affected, for sure. So you definitely, and that might be one of your objectives, is to conduct a mobility study for this area, so you can figure out, you know, what kind of traffic improvements do we need to make based on existing and anticipated traffic volumes and things like that.
So would we have
that might be
Would
an
we have
action
that done
statement.
for
That'd be
traffic
like
calming
trying to put a
elements?
roundabout on
Because I know I
Baker
put in a
and
lot of
Pontiac
ideas
Trail.
for the traffic calming of how you can do landscaping or the sidewalks or the end corner caps, the different ways of, you know, grading, putting those little, I don't
Ripples,
know.
rumble
Yeah.
strips, rumble strips, yeah.
So would we have to conduct then a traffic study for traffic calming
You'd want to do a mobility
or
study.
mobility study?
To figure that out, because, you know, the traffic is part of an overall system. So if you do something at one end of it, it's going
Right.
to affect what happens at the other end.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
you have to factor all these in. So for instance, you know, one big thing might be the roundabout, and that might take care of the traffic, right? But if you do a bunch of little things on different parts of the network, then you might not have to do the roundabout.
Right.
So, you know, you got to factor all those in.
So who do we contact for mobility study? Is that Oakland County?
Well, Oakland County is going to have to be involved, but you know, we've got a transportation guy on our team that could. I'd be happy to have him come out and talk to you guys and sort of walk through what would be involved in a mobility study.
But that can be on our plan, can't it?
Yeah,
I mean, just putting that mobility in the plan.
easy for you to say.
Yeah, exactly. Would be, to me, regardless of what we put in there. Just
Oh, no,
Yeah,
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 definitely,
you can plan
that's,
for those studies,
oh, yeah.
So the mobility study is
Like you
gonna-
said, then you put that and then you put objectives and underneath,
Right.
yeah.
So the mobility study, you know, not to get too far afield, but it would look at all the different transportation elements that take place within the right of way. So you'd be looking at sidewalks,
Yep,
bike
bike
paths,
paths. Yep.
automobiles.
Yeah,
you
that
know,
would be
whole-
wonderful, because that's
whole-
like half of this, like the sidewalks really rated high.
Yeah.
Getting people from out of town, in town, that was huge.
Well, just the sidewalk going from town to the new park.
Yeah,
Well, it's not new anymore,
Well,
but the
the-
newest park on
yeah.
Hadley there.
You know, one option I didn't see in
But
this
only
traffic
Parsons
thing was like
Village.
a divided boulevard type approach, because that also could be a way to
yep, it
address
slows
that.
the
Where you
traffic.
turn right to turn left and stuff, that sort of thing.
You talking about Michigan left turn?
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility too, something like that. If it's divided, I mean, there's a lot of issues when you have people trying to turn left out into traffic in here. And if it was a divided boulevard where they have to turn right and then turn around, that could also, you know, improve some safety depending on.
Actually, that's kind of funny, because Mike and I were talking earlier today, is that if they do put the roundabout in here, when you come out of Granger Road and you want to head south, you'd actually take a right and head north,
Yeah.
Yeah.
go through the roundabout and slingshot back around south.
Right.
So,
But isn't that a normal
But
roundabout?
that's typical.
That's a normal roundabout, yeah.
right, but I'm saying for Granger,
Mhm.
coming out of Granger,
Instead of
turning
turning
left,
make
trying
it
to
right
fight
turn
that
only,
big
then
left.
you'd have to turn right and then.
You go a
For
quarter
sure.
mile north,
Yeah,
up
you
and
just
then
go a
back.
little bit up and.
So
But it'd be
it
the
has the
same
same
thing as
effect
if you
as
had like the
the
boulevard, same
divider.
effect, you turn right and then
Right.
you can get turned around.
Yeah.
I would so much rather do that right than that left.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yield left, you got the right of way right. Simple as it can be.
I love them.
I also think,
I'm
you know,
with you, Bob.
when you have the divided boulevard, it gives you more opportunity for doing some, you know, some type of
Some
landscaping.
landscaping.
Something in the middle, make it look a little
streetscaping.
bit more aesthetically pleasing to
Yep.
drive down and
Because
stuff like
there's
that.
all kinds of drawings of M15 with the boulevard,
Yeah,
all kinds of them.
Yep.
I think
It's
that would
already
be a
been done,
wonderful
studies
concept.
already been
And
done.
coming down,
Nobody wants to spend that kind of money.
there's
Yeah.
lots of grants.
If you look at the,
And,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you look at the map, you can clearly see that people had a lot of issues with that intersection. I mean, no surprise there, with respect to their, you know, their stickers. A lot of congestion relief requested down there. Let's see
They
what
should have
else.
left it the way it was when I was in school.
Sidewalk.
So drain repair was actually one that was
Gooseneck to
added.
15, it didn't angle out.
We're at,
Oh, so it came in like this?
If you look
and
at the
that-
map,
Square.
it's up here.
oh, I'm sorry, I
Is
thought you
there
were,
a light
okay,
there
the
or
blue?
Yeah.
No, it was just
Those were
a
ones
stop
that we
sign.
didn't have a sticker for, but
This
people
line.
wrote on them, drain repair.
You know,
Okay,
So that
I'm
was,
kind of
you know-
surprised because that was one of the topics that came up at the stakeholders meeting was the importance of addressing drainage in our village. I mean, even before we look too hard at road repair, we have to address drainage issues.
Yeah, you can't do one really well without the
Yeah.
other.
And so I'm kind of surprised that wasn't in there up front. Restrooms, that's a good point. What do you want on that?
at the parks. And the, property that the village purchased is not indicated on here, which it should be. I don't think it is, or is that it right there?
Purchased,
Village Park.
Yeah, no, not the village is that, what do we call that for the, sewer?
Oh, the
Where they're
Over
the
on
pumping
Narren.
station.
Over on
yeah,
Narren.
Yeah.
So that should be on here, which is over here. And actually part of what, and I'll send it back to Mike, I did a whole schematic of it.
Right here, right?
But it's
Ball
right,
Street, right in here.
it's right in here
Yeah.
is the property. And it can connect into that Narren Park. You can, if you do a trail, you can connect to that park or connect up to Oakwood and do a sidewalk if we were getting sidewalks, or you can just connect into the park.
If they do sidewalks on Ball Street, you connect to that
Yep,
village property, make a small park out of it.
Right on.
Put a
So-
footbridge and call it.
so
good.
no one thought of that.
no, I did, I sent it, everything I
Right, no, but
wrote
no one
isn't
didn't-
on here.
Right, no, but the public
Right.
didn't think of that.
No,
So they.
but
they
I
were-
wouldn't expect them to, because that's like a village piece of property that no one thinks about. Because
Right.
now that it's been turned down.
Right.
It's like, not thought about, and that's a beautiful piece of property that we can get to the park, move some of this park stuff over there, make a little more parking over here. There's just lots of really good ideas that we haven't talked about yet, so.
Right, and I know you're anxious to talk about them.
Whenever, I mean,
Yeah.
it's, I got all the time in the world. If it takes a year, it takes a year. I have all the time in the world.
That is interesting, 'cause some of these dots are on private property, so they're not necessarily something we can do as much about.
This housing rehab on James Street.
Yeah.
Do they want to fix other people's homes?
Well,
Or they want
that-
other people to fix up their homes? I guess I said
It might be a code enforcement issue. I asked Mike about that. I asked Mike about that, and then I kind of did a street view look through there, and the houses look nice. I mean, they look nice in that area, but you know, I looked in some of the backyards, and maybe
We have a
that
couple of blight
might be
issues.
some of the
Okay.
issues.
wanna
So
do
There was a couple issues on James Street that I wrote blight letters on after the meeting that
Okay.
have cleaned up their blight issues.
Oh, good.
So,
Good.
I
so
just,
they're not all done yet, but some have been.
okay.
I know a couple of
There's
those, I
not-
think that they were recently sold, I know they had been for sale now. So aren't they relatively new owners in at least one case? On James
That
Street?
you got me hanging.
Okay.
I know the gentleman, the one guy I wrote a letter to that cleaned up the situation, sent a letter back, very nice letter,
Oh, nice.
saying that, you know, he had some vehicles that he tried to get rid of, so he finally sold them for scrap. And that. So he was very nice, very polite, very good response.
I hear, is there, I know the village is hell-bent not to have the, what is it, 6-letter word of sewers on anything, but I think septic systems has gotta be, one of the main issues, whether it be commercial location to, so if somebody wanted to do a small place, there is places in the village where
Where they could do
engineered
a
systems
community
could work for a small place. So I mean, maybe we need to take out the sewer, build sewers, but just add septics in there somehow to, because it sure is a lot of talk about it.
Yeah, is it a terminology issue? When the worst thing in the world for the village right now
I know what you're gonna
is
say.
anything with the word sewers in it.
Yep.
How about sanitation, septic or sanitation or something?
Wastewaters.
Waste
Wastewater
treatment.
You know, waste treatment is, yeah.
Sounds a lot better than like
Freaking out with
sewers.
that.
Yeah.
I think they freak with that too.
You know, I understand we need to be sensitive, and I think the last time I was here, you came up with some different ways to phrase the issue, and so I think we'll craft up that, but I don't think you can hide it, you know what I mean? I don't think you can hide it, you just gotta throw it out there.
What was it that they passed at the council that Wayne, it was in the minutes as well?
It's in the, probably in the minutes in your
Yeah, it was
stack.
in the minutes. Did you guys read that?
Yeah, they just made a motion not to have it in the 5-year plan.
And any part of the master plan, I think.
Correct.
What happened there?
I think it's in the
But I-
Phil, is it in the
yeah,
minutes?
But I think we need to do that anyways. If they want to take it out, they can take it out.
Yeah, so at least we brought it up.
I brought it up at the meeting about it. But like you say, we can't all stick our head in the sand, okay? So we know sooner or later sewers are going to be a realistic item that the village
I
of
found it more
Ortonville has
list.
to deal with. And I guess I tell fellow commissioners that
Well, they
stick
have,
to your guns. I mean, we gotta have something in there on it.
Yeah, well, I think that what I had said before was that, you know, obviously this is the direction is no money will be expended. I don't think we could say, hey, we're not, I think we need to somehow acknowledge that as of this time, there are no plans to implement a sanitary sewer system for the village of Ortonville. However, there is still a need to ensure that we are properly managing the situation in the village because there are known issues with failing septics in the community, and we have to have a plan to manage it. But that plan will not
That's
be
where
sort of
the
something like that.
management by state law,
Yeah.
the management of septic systems is the county health department's purview and not the village,
Local.
period. So that is, you can't, the state is currently debating some inspection criteria, but right now the inspection so the only thing the village can do is on a complaint basis. If a resident comes in and says,
Okay.
There is my next door neighbor has poo flowing up through the ground, we get a hold of the sanitarian, and the sanitarian goes over and condemns the system.
Well, that might make things even easier. Then all we do is we say there are no plans to implement a sanitary sewer system in the village of Ortonville in the foreseeable future, and see if we can get a statement and say, this is the Oakland County Health Department position on managing solid waste, septic waste for our community. And put the county, let the county put a statement for us in that. Or put a statement from the county into the plan saying this is the county's
Well, we can
position,
even
say-
cite the state law that says it's the county's responsibility. I mean, we can do that,
Right.
but
It'd be nice if we could actually get something official from the county with their
There's
view of our
the only community that has attempted anything in Oakland County, and I can't remember if it was Rochester or West Bloomfield, but it was over in that general area. They implemented an ordinance that required inspection at time of sale.
It was Rochester.
And,
Yep.
okay, and that, they feel potentially is going to be challenged in court because it hasn't yet, because person wants to sell their house, person wants to buy a
Yeah.
house, they make
It's working.
contingent on it.
But I think I do agree that we need to alleviate residents' concerns that somehow the master plan is going to be used to try to bring sewers back
Right.
after they have expressed that they absolutely don't want them.
Yeah, and the direction from the council I thought was pretty clear from the last meeting that they did not want money expended,
Yep.
on sewers, so, I
Now, we
would
could
question-
still leave it open for the businesses to pursue their own alleviation for the
Putting something
situation.
in
But
there saying we're
that's,
not going to do anything, I don't think is,
So.
because it is what it is. If that comes up, we can do it, and then if not.
I think we should say, look, realistically, we don't foresee spending any government money on putting in sanitary sewers.
Tax
Now,
dollars.
if businesses
You're a lot
wish
more
to address it, we will
diplomatic
work
than
with
an
you
SAD
businesses.
or something like that.
Yeah,
would
if
that
the
be
businesses
precluded?
want to do something, we could.
I
would
wanna
say
be able to
we would be willing
support
to
the
work with the
businesses.
business district
Yeah.
if they have a plan that they can fund.
Yeah.
We can support them, but
They could
it's
maybe
not
do
gonna
a
come,
community
we're
You
not
can
gonna
read
spend
the, you
village
can read
money.
you can read it as long as, I can't spend any of my time, my staff can't spend any of their time on it, period, and anybody who's compensated by the village, should not be spending any time on that subject. It's pretty clear,
Gotcha.
so if I'm writing checks to somebody,
You're spending time,
You know,
resources, yeah.
and I would think
Well,
that
where
that would
was
include
that
y'all,
rule
so.
2 years ago?
Because they're ultimately, the village is the one that's gonna authorize the check payment to McKenna, So,
Isn't there,
All right, no one talk about sewers anymore.
there you go.
isn't there several things that can be done with septics for commercial people? I mean,
Absolutely.
Oh,
They could do a community
that's
one
what I mean,
behind
they're just-
Papabella's even.
Not using the word sewer, but we definitely need to have septics in there.
Yeah, I would also raise a point, Bill, in contrast to what you just said, though, that part of the purpose of the planning commission is to be an independent, non-political body to be able to put input into this stuff too. And just simply because the village says we don't want to talk about sewers, part of our purpose as a planning commission is to be a second opinion or objective voice to be able to bring in stuff, say, hey, you guys don't want to talk about it, but we feel it does need to be mentioned at least, So I think that, I wouldn't say that we are forbidden to do anything about that simply because the village doesn't want to spend money on it, but I think that, it's part of our function and our responsibility to, if we feel that it's important to at least cover the topic in the master plan, not necessarily indicate any spending money or anything, but I think that we can't just ignore the fact simply because the village says we don't want to say anything about it. I think that we have to do what we feel is right according to our responsibilities as a non-political group or body.
and I guess I would kind of disagree with that. I mean, I'm only the manager,
Yeah.
And I guess I would disagree with that statement because typically when they talk about the master plan being forwarded to the, the council, you guys, I agree with your statement about the master, planning commission is supposed to be developed a plan. But if there is specific things that that the council, the council ultimately has the right to refer back. And basically what they're supposed to do is tell you if there are sticking items, and I think McKenna would bear this out, that if if you have sticking items that you know that the council disapproves of ahead of time, and they've sent a clear signal that here's an item that this is a no-go. I mean, that's.
We're not saying sewers,
You know.
we're saying septic, so
Yeah,
it's a totally
no,
different thing.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying,
And there's an election in November, who knows if this will be the same council, and these new council members may want to see something.
I'm just saying that I think that even though they say, no, we don't want to see any money spent on sewers, I think that
In the master plan.
if we feel that there is a need to at least cover the topic, not indicate any spending of money, but at least, cover it. I think it's our due diligence to at least say, hey, this is a reality. We won't be spending money from the village for sewer systems. I don't think that it's a good thing to just say, hey, we're not going to support the businesses and we will just, if you even mention sewers, we're going to walk away from you. I think that's not good. If we can, I think if we could come up with a plan and demonstrate that it's good for the community and doesn't cost the village money, I think we could probably say, well, maybe that would be okay. But we would have to engage the council and work out and find out what might be acceptable and what might not, and not just take this as a blanket statement and say, oh, we just have to give up. I think we need to negotiate, work with them and try to address it and find out something that would be acceptable on both sides and would, show that we're doing our due diligence to the community. Because there's a lot of people in the community that are absolutely saying, hey, we absolutely need sewers, and I know that that's not going to happen, but we have to show that we are listening to everybody and trying to do the right thing.
I think we've
Yeah.
No.
We're
Get that
We've
horse
beat
down.
the horse
beat
enough
that
now.
horse. I have a question.
Yeah.
On the corners, like, for example, right here, where is this guy? Right here, we got pine. So this is our little corner
I
mark,
don't know if it's
where we have the flag and the little,
Yep.
where there used to be a fountain.
Yeah.
At least
So,
not a lose-lose.
There did used to be a fountain there.
there used to be a fountain there. There's still some brick there, but the actual fountain's gone. But, yeah, because I had put in some suggestions for that particular area. So how are those being showed on this, or are they not?
What, the
Or showed in here?
suggestions for that?
Or
Where's this
showed
fountain?
in here? Is that what these
Where
were?
the veterans things are, or
Okay.
the.
Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't know if these were entrance ideas, if these were for the park back here ideas, or for the corner ideas. Okay,
Those,
so we'll get
those
the proper
were for,
ranking then.
those were for, they could be anywhere.
Okay,
They could
Okay.
be anywhere. They're, elements that, let's see, where was that?
okay.
The last one.
So it's not really like marked on here, it's just we know that,
Well,
once we get the rankings
sort
back.
of, it's intended to be in this area somewhere. So the place that you're talking about is right here at the corner
The
of
mill,
Mill Street and,
yeah, right here.
yep. So these relate to something in this area, most likely at that location.
Okay, and then, yeah, and then we had the park back here too, so. So these must relate to the park behind there too. There's a Crossman Park right
Which
behind
one?
here.
The
There's
same
a-
one?
No, it's, let me see.
They were on the same page?
No, you cut it off, it's right here, it's right across the street. Let's see if it's on. So anyways, you cut it off here, but would those be ideas for that park as well? It's right here, the other part starts right here.
No, I'm thinking that these are things that you'd want somewhere right along Mill Street. These would
Okay,
be something right adjacent to Mill Street, something that would be, like the park in downtown Plymouth, something that's right in the middle of downtown. So
okay,
you
so
wouldn't
what
want to
we're,
take
where
it off.
in here then is for the park that's the Crossman Park then?
Let's see.
The people.
Or the drain repair.
Actually, there's that open spot between the, next to the fire department, that would be.
Yeah, we got that one. I got that one on there too. Well, I submitted them, but they're just not showing up. So I just want to make sure
But I
they're
know
gonna be
So-
there sometime.
So I don't think that we got that specific.
Okay,
I don't think that
Okay.
we can
Think about that
necessarily
piece
tie
right- that's right
these
next to the
things
fire
to
department.
specific
I don't know.
sites.
Okay.
I think they're just to give
General,
Okay.
everyone an
Very
idea
good.
of what the taste of the people are.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I just didn't know if anybody mentioned back there or the
So,
Narren, or the corner. I don't know. I'm just trying to get a feel for what people really like.
on this map, where are you talking about?
The Crossman Park is right behind here.
Is that it?
That's a dot
Where they get the
green
blue dot
repair.
for
In the
drainage.
bathroom.
In the bathroom. Yeah.
And that's called, what's the name of the park?
Crossman Park. And you got the little sign for the bathroom, which was one of the suggestions, but there were other suggestions about like a parking lot and being widening.
That you had on your list, right?
Yeah, and also over on one of the boards as well. Someone else had something there too, for making a like putting in some type of water feature or something along the way of this. But I just want to, I don't know. I'm just not sure what is or isn't. But are we going to then have a meeting in the future and go over the commissioners?
Absolutely.
Is that?
Yep, Mike will have it ready for the next meeting.
Because at one meeting, will we be able to just spend time at one meeting on parks and
Yeah, and then
and that type of thing at one meeting and not get into
other stuff.
14 different things at one time?
That would be great. Or trails or parks and trails.
Right.
Take just a topic, a
Well,
couple topics.
what I would suggest is now we're getting to the point where we have to sort of organize it, and I would say that you're going to have to group these issues into your goals and objectives, right?
So
like
who
I
groups
said,
that? You guys
we'll
or
try to
me
come.
or-
We'll take a crack at it.
Okay.
We'll give you an organization that says here are the goals, here are the objectives related to those goals, and we can probably go over a couple of goal and objective sections at a time at each meeting.
That would be great.
And
I don't know. What do
yeah.
you think?
And-
I'd rather do it in bits than.
yeah.
Once we have the goals and objectives, I would imagine we could come up with some kind of a rough outline of the layout of what's going to be in the master plan, and maybe we just start going section by section based
Sure.
on the rough draft outline or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think the starting point is probably going to be with the existing master plan, just to start from and see where do we need to add stuff. What can we get rid of? But
What
that's,
still fits, what
Exactly.
needs to be changed,
So-
what do we need to add, what's no longer valid, and
Yeah,
be taken out.
Yep, and you can see, that's the way this is organized. So,
Yeah.
everyone has a copy of this, right?
Yeah.
So, you can see, I'm sure you probably don't all have it with you, but, you can see there's one set of goals for downtown development, along with objectives. There's one set of goals for residential development, non-residential development, walkability, community image. So, we'll probably follow those and try to show where these items might be added to that, so we can start to sift through it and see what works. And I think what I'll do is I'll have Mike incorporate your comments that we've received with respect to the big ideas and put a friends by it that it came from the planning commission. Okay? All right. That's all I got.
I'm sorry, I forgot to pass those out from DDA, guys.
Okay. Yeah, I got the email on that too.
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
But I thought there was just an awful lot of good information from this public stuff. I mean, it actually is right in line with what we discussed. I mean, there might be.
Some of it was, wasn't it?
I
Yeah.
mean, just maybe not as specific to one little piece of property or a gazebo or something, but in general, you found out, I mean, they care about parks and trails a
Yep.
heck of a lot more than they do about a restaurant.
Yep.
And walkability and way
I
it looks.
was
So
happy
you know
to
what
see
really
that.
surprised me
I
about
was real happy to
trails
see that.
is under the trail types. The most favorable response for the trail types was the great big double wide ADA compliant trail, and I was like, but everybody said they didn't want that. And I don't understand why that was the.
Backyard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you didn't
I
have the-
want a trail like that, just not in my yard, okay.
But there's
Go in
places
some- go
to
in
put
the
it.
neighbor's yard.
I've
Right.
figured out
In
three
somebody
great
else's
places to
yard.
put stuff. There's
Yeah.
places to put some that would
I
be
got a
fantastic.
kick out of the guy right there by Huff Lake that's got the signs up again about the Ironville Trail. I don't know if you've seen the guy.
Oh, yeah.
The guy has a chain link fence and house, gray house,
Oh, on,
monotone house,
East,
monochrome, yeah.
going north on the
On
east.
the right.
Okay. Yep.
East side of the road, 15. You know where Huff Lake is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to.
The new house that's built back off the road.
Look like a
Yeah, he's
store.
got
Okay, yep,
signs
yep,
up.
yep, yep.
He wants to rejuvenate the Ironville Trail again. So-
I think there's some things that our little town can do that are not on that big of a scale, but that we could do that would make people happy about having some trails and on a smaller scale. I
I
really
think one of
think
the
there are
natural
things.
type ones, you know, we could create some kind of a loop within
Yep.
Absolutely.
our property, and maybe if there's, I know that there's some unique features and vegetation and things in there Rick could probably identify for us, and if we had a few signs posted, you know, pointing out some of the natural features in the park would be really nice.
But there's a couple of areas that we could do something. And I was happy to see people like that, and all I could think of was, where's Dave when we?
I was surprised at how
I wanted
much
Dave Andrews to
comments
be
there were
around.
on positive comments and about getting trails and sidewalks and stuff. It shows that walkability is really important in our community.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of, you know, like, from our standpoint, or from the village office standpoint, we get a lot more questions that, it's almost like they want this done in two buckets. You know, first of all, focus on, rather than maybe going trails, focus on sidewalks initially, so that,
Safety
you know,
paths.
like the subdivisions up on Oakwood, you know, feel disconnected from the
Yeah,
village,
connectivity,
you know, so to
walkability.
get them, you know, we have this project that the commission approved for sidewalks on Myron Ball and Narren, which, you know, goes along with what you guys were talking already, and then there's a natural tendency from there to build on that, to, you know, to do that trail that we talked about over to Beekys, you know, kind
Oh, I
of
know.
Narren,
I did
or
notice
over to
the
Narren
Oakwood.
Park,
Yep.
and so.
And is Oakwood still set to do that in 2 years? No.
Yeah, Bob.
No.
We're trying, well, no, I mean, that's the commission is, really wants that, council really wants that as a priority.
Yeah.
And so that's one where, that's a common ground one.
I know
where-
though the road was,
In-
MDOT was coming in and doing the road and we were waiting because they were gonna put in a sidewalk.
No, they,
Or a bike, a walk, bike
they,
lane, I should say,
They're
not a
not putting in
sidewalk, a
anything?
lane.
no, they're not coming to the party, so I'm going back door to SEMCOG
Okay.
and going to a couple other places to see if we can't, because the theory is, the state is getting a lot better with Act 51 money, and Act 51 money is the money that they give you back to work on your roads and stuff. So part of what they want you to do is dedicate, there's a great deal, they want you to dedicate a larger portion towards non-motorized and walkability and stuff like that. So Oakwood, for an example, is a perfect example. It's a major road, but it's not our major road. So my question to MDOT, and my question to the state and everybody, and I got Roe working on this, is can I use Act 51 money
Oh, because it's.
to put
yeah.
a sidewalk in on a road that I don't own, although it's a major road that services the village? You know, so how do you get to there with, you know, or how do you get creative solutions that get you what you want?
Years ago, they were calling that complete streets.
They're doing something in the next.
And they won't,
2 years.
they,
were.
the
I guess
MDOT, or
they
the response to Oakwood was that, because what they were gonna do is put a bike trail on the shoulder, widen the
Correct.
road,
And
put
they
a
were
bike
gonna
trail
widen
on
it,
the
yep.
shoulder.
Okay.
And their response was, that I read in the old notes, was they didn't wanna do that because we didn't have sidewalks, so it'd become a pseudo sidewalk on the side of the road where people would use a bike trail like a sidewalk and create a safety issue next to the road.
Yeah, because it's much better if they walk on Oakwood.
So, yeah,
So on that skinny gravel,
yeah,
Shoulder
so,
maybe or
you know, so
something.
the issue is, you know, build a sidewalk and then they might build a bike trail, you know, and it's like,
And anymore with the community, they have those, the bike safety classes and any community, they'll come to your community now and go around and assess it for,
Yeah.
you know, bike lanes or bike mediums, or they can get real excessive or real,
Like
you
a
know.
bikeability audit.
Yeah,
Or
and that's
or
what they do.
walkability audit,
And they said
yeah.
every time you repave or do a road project, just like we're doing right now on Schoolhouse, there should be a bike lane. It should be incorporated from the get-go. And then that way, when you keep building on and keep building on, those are incorporated in your town. And
Yeah.
by the end, eventually you
Yeah,
got them on
in
all
other
of it.
words, now, right now, when we're redoing
We should be doing
Schoolhouse
it.
Street
Yep.
and Cedar,
We
that
should
should
have
all
it.
be incorporated.
So-
The
so
bike
let-
lane should be a get-go right now
So
from the
let,
beginning.
so let me ask a question. Has the village ever adopted a complete streets policy?
No.
Without that, you're pretty much hosed.
Oh, good. Okay, so what do we have to do for that?
Well, we can get you a draft one, but it's definitely gonna be in the master plan.
Okay,
Yeah, it'll be in the master plan.
okay. And then you can, we've never gone through it, so you can talk us through what it is.
Sure.
And is this more a village thing or a planning thing? Do we just put it in and they work on it, or is it something we work on?
Well, the place to put it is the master plan. But
Right.
some communities have it separate from the master plan, but it should be in here, and the master plan is eventually, hopefully, gonna be adopted by the village council, so, so by, you know, they will be adopting the complete streets policy.
Yeah,
I
'cause
know
they
when,
have
I
that
know
with
when we
you.
developed our current master plan, that I did bring up the topic of complete streets and said we should try to get more towards, in line with the complete streets type stuff. And I
Have
don't
you
know if
heard
they
of
actually
that
put that
training
in
wheels
there or not.
program?
Yeah.
They have?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's something that I would love to, I actually got the, I was supposed to actually do the bike thing, but it was in Detroit, so I just did the classroom part.
One of our guys led one of those
I would
things.
love to have them come out here and do that. I think that would be wonderful,
They made Schoolhouse with a bike that I had to move my mailbox.
probably.
Yep.
Well,
Probably.
typically, they,
They come by and then did it with us.
What
Yeah,
a
That would be
pal.
They
awful.
function.
typically, isn't that, the complete streets program, is more towards your main arteries versus the every street, correct?
Well, it's any street that you're gonna be dealing with other jurisdictions on. So if you're gonna be dealing with the county or the road commission, or I mean, MDOT, then you wanna have a complete streets policy
What about
in place.
our roads in the village then?
Well, you know, it's a natural extension of that, right? So it's
Yeah,
an
'cause
overall policy.
Everything I read.
It's an overall
Yeah, you just do
policy
it.
that's
Excuse
saying
me.
that you wanna provide, you know,
So that's-
safe circulation for people of all abilities
Mhm.
and things of that nature, so.
That's
So
usually by there, 'cause they have a
more of
ballpark.
Rather than complete streets, wouldn't that be more of a non-motorized mobility, walkability plan?
It's all tied together, I mean,
Yeah.
we're kind of splitting hairs a little bit, it's
Right.
all part of the same kind of, what are we gonna do with our roads? You know, we've got right-of-ways that are governed by the village, we've got right-of-ways that are governed by multiple jurisdictions, so, you know, what are we gonna do, what's the appropriate approach in each, and here in the existing master plan, we have a non-motorized pathway system. So we've started the conversation, at least at the
Yeah,
last
there's
one.
nothing really there.
Yeah, we didn't get all the way
Yeah.
into the complete streets then, just like we didn't get all the way, I think, into the form base when we last
Oh,
revised the
yeah.
Yep.
ordinances, but we said that we wanted to get that direction.
Yeah,
So we started changing that direction in the current master plan, and I think that we want to continue
pushing
more
it
in that
down.
direction
Yeah.
in both of those topics. in the new one.
Okay,
Complete streets. So then, I don't know, do you get the information, or you bring the information for the complete streets?
I can bring it, or Mike will
How
bring
do
it,
we
Mike
do
will
this?
bring it.
Mike brings it.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure so we're not confused again.
Yeah, complete street concept is just to incorporate automobile traffic, or motorized traffic, non-motorized traffic, and pedestrian traffic all in one.
Correct. But if we need that from the get-go to even start doing then we need to do that. That sounds like a priority. I didn't know we had to have that. So that'll be interesting to learn.
Okay,
I'm all about biking.
So
Yeah.
what do we get next?
Getting all the exercise
Financial
going on,
plan.
everybody moving.
What's up next?
So, we're gonna refine, clean this up and then, start organizing it by the goals and objectives in the existing plan. So we start organizing it, going through it in a logical way.
groups?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the next meeting
and
was,
then,
when, the next meeting was planned for sometime in August.
August
and
14th.
August 14th. Would you guys
Okay.
be ready?
Yeah.
Why is it so late in
meeting?
August?
This,
Planning
Isn't
commission.
it supposed to be the first Tuesday? of August?
Remember,
Okay.
we, just FYI, we changed the planning commission meeting date because of the primary election.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Multiple people are working
Okay,
the
thank
election.
you.
And I got it in here for the 14th, is that what
Oh
you
yeah, I
said?
got it written down there.
It's in our meeting minutes too.
Yeah, I got it all over the place.
I just,
That's
I just
right.
wanted to remind you, and I wanted to get a commitment out of them
Yeah.
before they left.
okay,
Got it right
one,
here.
one other question. Bill, is the village council up to speed in, I assume the information we have here tonight, they received or they will be receiving, because they always feel like they're left out of the loop. My question is,
We got this here, within the last day or so, so we'll,
should we wait until you update?
Yeah, let me
and
make a couple of
Yeah.
quick corrections and then we'll get your revised
wait
package.
till
and-
it's
we have I'd like to get it to them before the meeting
When's,
Monday.
their meeting's Monday? Okay, yep, we'll revise it and send it out to you, tomorrow.
Okay. So we're sending out packages as well, but I can send it out electronically if
Okay.
you're a little late.
Okay.
Okay.
Noon, you shooting for noon tomorrow or end of the day?
Noon,
Okay,
since I'm the one who has to put it all together.
gotcha, I knew, yeah, okay,
Gotta listen to the boss. here,
absolutely.
So,
Okay.
okay, so I think we're set. The only items I wanted to address, capital improvement. Where do we stand on that? At one time, the village council was working on finalizing the new budget. Has that been done?
Yep, new budget's been finalized, so what I need to do is take and transition what they allocated for the budget for this year.
To us, to,
To say, let's take a look at it, because I did put some extra money in there. We did have, big money, the big money project right now is that Narren Ball, sidewalk plan. And oddly enough, we put that out for bid, and it's just too late in the season. We didn't get any bites, so we're gonna have to put that out again, this spring, or, late
Okay.
winter. So, other than that, we've, we want to, I'll shoot
yeah,
more
if you
stuff
could,
out of it.
please, all I'm asking that you send us the info, because I know we're working on this, but we gotta keep our, because I know what's gonna happen. We're gonna get 3/4 of the way through this, and the village council is gonna come to us and go, where's our capital improvement plan, budget, and spreadsheet for the next 5 years? And we're going,
I don't think you can do a whole heck of a lot of them until you get the master plan done for 5 years, or at least close to it, can you?
Yeah, that's kind of a chicken or an egg thing, so if we can focus, that's kind of where my focus has been, kind of, I can put together a budget and estimate going out 5 years. That's part of what we did with the budget this year is really start focusing on, it was a fun meeting, but is the concept of carrying over and planning for years out, to where this budget year, what we presented and finalized was probably the first year where we've actually projected how much money we're gonna have in the bank at the end of next year. With all the projects put in and stuff, so. And the other, typically, we've done budget adjustments after year end here. And I've introduced a new thing to where we're gonna do budget adjustments as the year goes. So if, an example, like when the tractor broke last year, you know, we will do budget adjustments. If we didn't have money allocated for it, you know, like we didn't have money allocated for the master plan. And so theoretically, what we should have done at that point in time was put in a budget adjustment to say, not wait for the year end, but put a budget adjustment in immediately that says, we're taking the money out of the bank and we're putting it into master plan. You know, so that when, you know, you're always doing that, so where you're asking the questions, you know, yeah, do you want to put in a sidewalk? Where do we get the money? You know?
Yeah.
So.
Did you say that you're working on putting together like a 5-year budget plan, just
I
just
want
roughly of what you're
to.
doing?
Yeah, that's where I'm going to right now. The first year was a 1 year. You know, a 1 year, really a 2 year.
But what I'm getting at is
Yeah.
then as we go along with the master plan and we come up with some wild idea of sidewalks, then can see if it can be done or can't be done, and then adjust your budget as we go along. So there is a plan.
Yep.
And it'll be yours, I would think. I don't have a clue of.
I got a good idea. We're putting together a good plan, I think, for equipment to where we won't get caught again. And Bob and I are working on that. And then part of what Bob and I is putting together what we'll refer to as an asset management plan. Yeah. And that is that he does a lot of, we're doing a lot of the stuff already, like, but it's just formalizing it, where Bob, we don't have to pay a company to do a Paiser rating or something in all the streets here. You know, we're not that big to where Bob and I can drive around and say, okay, Mill Street's the crummiest, that's the one we should work on, you know?
Right.
And
Like you say,
and sidewalks
that's
the same way.
That's
you
a
know?
day-to-day fund that you put aside and
Right.
you draw from it.
That's
Well, to
what
be
we're
honest,
doing.
I think that we probably will have a similar approach with kind of what my company does within our budget, IT budget, and that's that we have a list of projects, they're all ranked upon their merit, and, you know, we have a certain amount of money. That would be your concept of having a capital improvement line item in there, saying, okay, this is our capital improvement budget for the year. We got our list of capital improvement items, and as we go down the list, if things come up like the tractor, that might come out of there. When the money's gone, any remaining items get moved into next year's plan. But I think that, unlike the master plan, the capital improvement plan would be updated annually as we come into the new budget cycle each year. So, I mean, if we start with just the basic asset and infrastructure things that we know we need, we can start with that, and then next year, once the master plan is finalized, we can adjust and start filling in and maybe adding in some of the things that might fit in with the master plan strategy too, and then see how that fits with the existing things that we have to do. So I think that we can get a capital improvement plan. We've got plenty of needs to address now before we even get to doing some of the things that we might be implementing from the master plan. I think we got plenty to keep us busy in the capital improvement plan.
Can I ask another question that's totally off the CIP?
Are you done
Okay,
there?
have we made that? Okay.
Yes, no.
All right. I know in the minutes for council, I believe it was Councilmember Skornica was asking about the signs. If the signs were ready for, I believe it's for the nature park. Okay, and that's what confuses me, because if we're going through this master plan and putting together the ideas of what we'd like to see for signage, because we have some great ideas that the community wanted. Why are they doing signs when we should do this all cohesively?
I've been waiting for about an hour and a half to ask that very question.
Okay,
It's amazing.
you want to add to it?
Well, we have all this interest in trails. The current year-old decision by the village council to, for whatever reason, which was never given, to manage this as a property as a wildlife preservation area. Also, for no reason given, eliminated trails and hunting. And it seemed like if you were having signs made up for that, that includes those rules, and yet we're gathering
People want
information that
trails.
people want trails in that
Yeah.
area. Shouldn't it be obvious to just hold off on those signs
Yeah.
until
I just think we're gonna
After-
be wasting money.
we are finished with this process?
Right now, we're at a point where the first sign that we're even talking about would be just an identification sign, not necessarily anything other than that. And somebody also I can't remember who brought up at the council meeting that one of the things we need to look at, which fits right in with what you guys are talking about, is you go to all our parks and every sign is different. I think Tanya brought it up. now.
Yeah, because we had chatted about signs.
And it's,
Yeah.
so part of what I've done is look, and it's kind of funny, I've contacted different sign companies to try to get different ideas or examples, much like we've just been through in the open house. One of which is our woodworkers out of the senior center, Mr. Lang, is taking a look at like Narren Park and saying, okay, what if I, could you duplicate those just so like our signs look the same? You
But
know?
I
That's a
don't
great
think any
idea.
of that should be decided.
That-
I think that should be part of the master plan, and then it goes from there. I just don't feel that those things should be happening pre-master plan.
Right.
And I think where they're going to,
6 of one, half dozen.
Well,
of the
I
other.
mean-
Not really, because if we decide on a look like this, and that's kind of what we want for everything, the gateways, I don't know, I just see us spending some money where we really don't need to be yet until we decide the direction
I mean, you're really talking about a wayfinding system, right?
Correct.
And
for all the parks, for,
Well-
the trail systems,
And the more important part of
for
this,
the
Well,
gateway.
yeah,
more important part of whether the
you're talking
signs
about branding too.
Yes,
look a lot
right.
alike or not is to make sure that this village park is identified with the activities that are going to be allowed in it. And right now, the activities that people want aren't allowed in that. So it seems like that should come to a halt as far as making a sign that is going to identify anything about that.
Yeah.
Technically, since it's village property, people have the right to go on that property and walk
course they do.
around,
Yes,
whether
they
there's
do.
trails or not. So whether
Yes,
we put
they
a
do.
sign saying, they say we won't allow trails and hunting, they cannot block residents from taking advantage of that park and going into and walking around on their own with or without trails.
Well, the irony is there's a whole system of trails in there already.
Exactly. It means that there will be informal, non-managed trails that people will just make. And my concern there is it's going to encourage, like, teenagers is, hey, this is a great place to go hang out, to do stuff.
Okay, let's not start with that though. I
Right.
guess the whole idea was the whole being cohesive with the signs and kind of waiting until we have a direction with the master plan. Because I know they even mentioned having a contest and for a design. I don't think we should go out to the public and say, let's have a contest and design a sign for us, and that's what we put up. You mentioned it, branding. We are trying to get a brand for the village of Ortonville. The signs will all be cohesive. We'll have a look, a brand that's for the gateway, the parks, downtown. I really think that's kind of what the master plan will spell out.
Very good point. Excellent point.
But what will you do with that with council?
Like I said, I'm working my project that I was given from the council, and
So just tell us, are you going to
I'm-
talk to the council or no? Because if you're not, then Lee will have to, will there be any conversation then?
sure. I have no problem talking to the council, saying that the planning commission would like to develop a brand,
Mhm.
for the village or whatever.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
not an
Because
issue.
if not, if that's something Lee should be doing, but I just think we should do it sooner rather than later, because from the minutes here, signs are coming in, it's like, why are we doing that?
I'm This has got me thinking, since Tanya's not here tonight, when's the next council meeting?
Monday.
Okay.
So
Um,
you're
I'm-
more
I'm
than, you're
thinking,
more than
do you
welcome
think
to-
that somebody from here maybe should
That's
attend the
Lee's
council
call.
meeting?
That's Lee's
Do you
call.
think, do you think we
What's
should
that?
see if somebody
Can
from
you
our
attend
commission
Monday and
can
fill them
attend
in?
Monday and fill them in?
Can you attend the meeting, council meeting Monday?
No, I won't be here.
Is there somebody willing to attend and
I know I can.
fill them in on our activities, since Tanya wasn't able to make this meeting?
I'm gonna be there anyways,
Will you do it for us?
asking for money for something else. So
Oh, see, you did.
Ask for the money first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
that
gotta
was
fill out the thing
priceless.
for that,
So would you
think
be
about
willing
my
to
letter.
You got
be there as our official representative?
If they have
I
questions,
have no problem with that.
perfect.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
I seem to recall,
I'll
just off the
behave
top of my
myself, I
head, I think
promise.
Tanya is on
Usually able to be
vacation
on
this
my
week
own.
maybe,
Okay.
and she may not be at the meeting on Monday either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that would, thank
She's
you, Bob.
having fun.
If I can come, I'll come, but
Do you think you could at
They
least
can-
get a
You
rough
guys-
draft
you
of
guys
the notes
do
for the
that
night to Bob,
really
so
help
he
out
can have them
last
referred
time.
to if he needs them, or?
well, if they have any questions, they can certainly ask them.
Would that help you, Bob?
I'm sorry.
If she could just at least get you the notes from, her notes from tonight?
Sure.
So you have something to reference? I'm just trying to think ahead, make sure the council feels that we're thinking about them, trying to keep them informed and stuff, because, you know, I wanna make sure that we don't have that issue continue to crop up. I wanna
No,
make
that's
sure
why
that they know that we're.
that's why I asked, will there be a discussion? That's why I'm bringing this stuff
They
up.
just better not ask me about sewers. I'll tell you that.
All right.
They'll get a whole lot more than what they
Tell me you're not allowed
want.
to discuss it.
No.
I don't know what I'm gonna be doing, but if
I'll
I
be
am
there if I can.
available, I can try to be there too. If I'm available.
I don't
just
think there's
know.
anything spectacular other than
Nothing. If
just
they have
exactly
questions.
where this plan is that they're gonna be, and more than likely will have received theirs,
Yep.
that we've reviewed it with McKenna and
You will
we're
probably
moving
get,
forward to
you
the
will
next
be
step
asked,
and-
how far are you? A third, 2/3, 3/3, a fourth? You know that's coming up.
I don't
2/4.
care. They can ask all they
Okay,
want. I don't
right
have a
on.
clue,
I'm just
so-
saying. That'll be the big
John,
one.
Have they
would
asked
you-
you
what
what
would you s-
percentage?
Yes, they are.
What would you say would be for the
Dan
next
asked at every
meeting,
meeting.
the expectation would
I'd say
be
we're about
for-
halfway through.
I wouldn't even say we're halfway.
What
Are
would,
we?
I would say, yeah, I mean,
That's all I need.
the public gathering this public information
This is a
is
big-
laborious. You know, it takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of resources to get this information. Now that we have it, we can start cranking along.
so
So
Cool.
what's gonna happen in the next meeting?
I'd say at the next planning commission meeting, we're gonna start to organize this according to goals and objectives, based off the existing plan, and sort of infill based on information that we've received from the public and as well as the planning commission, and start reviewing each of those different sections.
Can we
And I can
review
send
our
you an email. I
vision?
can send you an email.
Can we go over our vision
That's right.
statements and
How's that?
also individually
I think
what
that
we
would-
Printed mine
discussed?
out so I
That
can
would
share
help
it.
out,
Yeah.
because they're asking,
Sure.
you know, what's the next step? What's
Where
the
the
next
heck are we?
step?
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
Okay. Is there any other items?
Just real quick about Schoolhouse Street. Thank you very much. It's coming along really good with the paving. There was all kinds, not all kinds, there was a few issues there that our DPW did a spectacular job of handling. Those people who love those guys.
Aren't they great?
And,
Really good.
and there was a couple of real serious, few people were flipping out pretty good, and Bob got involved with it, and it all settled back down. He took care of whatever they needed done, and it was pretty cool,
well, the owner too, okay, the owner contacted.
right? Just
For
to-
those of you who haven't
Well,
heard.
we have no
those of
idea.
have you guys heard about my experiences?
No.
With the street? No.
Just-
well, you
just
know-
before you get to that, there was only one issue of the main discussion of the neighborhood was that we didn't realize that we weren't gonna get mail until it was done. The post office has not delivered a lick of mail.
Really?
Yeah, and the garbage pickups ceased. They didn't
Oh,
come and do the
goodness.
garbage pickups. And mine's in my truck. I'm heading to the fire hall. But there was a few things like that kind of caught all of us off guard.
they didn't tear down your mailboxes, right?
No.
So-
And the road isn't completely
No,
blocked.
no, that's.
The road-
I went over to the post
Post
office and
yeah.
got me a big old wad of Karen's magazines, you know.
Yeah, no, that is
Our
not,
post
Will
office.
did you ask them if they will deliver?
They told them that the carriers had, for the first few days, the carriers have the mail, so you couldn't even pick it up, because the carriers got it in the vehicle, but then the carriers didn't go down there, so I don't know why they didn't, I didn't care, I got my mail, it's like, but there was a few things like that folks were a bit disturbed about, that the village didn't notify them of these problems, which it sounds like you had no idea they were going to occur either, so.
no, but most of the priests, what I was gonna say is, for those of you who didn't know, that the construction started, I got rid of, if you haven't seen, I got rid of my crutches, and I know Bob knows, but got rid of my crutches, came into work Friday, and got a call 2 o'clock, my house was on fire.
Oh, dear.
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
Gosh.
So the DTE smart meter decided to catch on fire, and so my wife and I have been living in no damage inside the house other than
Oh,
smoke
thank goodness.
damage, but I know some of you people got to see, a couple people saw the pictures, but I've got an old 150-year-old Victorian house,
boy.
and they got to peel the siding off the back basically and replace the siding in the back and rebuild a deck, but had the fire department up there not violated the rules and literally pour water to the back of my house, because if you have a 150-year-old house, it's called a balloon structure.
Yeah.
And if it gets
I got one of
burns through that oak underlayment and gets in those things, it goes up straight to the attic.
Suck
you
up
got
the attic,
balloon,
and then
you got
it'll suck
balloon.
down the basement the other
Right,
side because the
and
draft
you will
goes like
absolutely
that,
lose the house. So they're
Balloon
about,
framing.
so they poured water to it around the electrical fire to keep it from spreading, and DTE put it out. But interesting process. So,
Well, I'm sorry to
so
hear
but
that.
the
I
reason I
had
said
no
I got the
idea.
call, I got the call at home, so that
Holy
the lady
cow.
was all upset about the guy driving the one day, and I called the owners from, so I was on vacation, but called the owners of priests, and they were very, very cooperative and went over and talked to the folks involved and kind of calmed them down. And Bob was involved. We had a couple other situations that came up. I know we've got one approach that the sidewalk, so we're trying to fix, if there's a bad piece of sidewalk or something, trying to fix that at the same
Yeah,
time.
I met with him this
So-
afternoon.
So
And he was glad to find out, because if he hadn't had noticed it, or I brought it to their attention, and just in conversation, I wasn't trying to pursue them to do that sidewalk right away. But I'd mentioned it to Bob, or no, the other guy, the shorter,
Mike?
Oh, Mike.
Mike.
Okay.
Mike, that, that sidewalk was broken up, and I said, I was kind of surprised you guys didn't want to, because I know they've been replacing broken slabs. I said, I was kind of surprised that you didn't want to grab this while it was all easy pickings
Broke
there.
up.
And it wasn't a half hour later, Bob caught me and said, oh, no, we're going to be there tomorrow morning, and we're going to tear out that sidewalk and get it done, because there's no blacktop. Not a big deal for them, but again, it falls right into the same thing of the DPW. Our community is really blessed to have the crews that we've got. And the neighbors, as upset as they get sometimes with all of that, they just think that man walks on water. You could just tell them anything and they would accept that, so good deal.
Okay. Anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
What about this motion?
Support?
All in favor?
No, I just,
Aye.
wait a minute.
Meeting adjourned.
Remember, the next meeting is on the 14th.